Hi, this is James, and today we're talking about debt service coverage and what it is, how do you calculate it, and why does it matter? So, debt service coverage, or DSCR or DSC, is essentially your NOI divided by your debt service. So, NOI is net operating income, debt service is your principal and interest on your mortgage. And lenders are going to use this for determining your loan amount. So, Fannie Mae, the minimum is typically 125 debt service coverage. Freddie Mac small balance starts at 120 and goes all the way up to 140 on their minimum debt service coverage, depending on the size of the market. So you can see here, sort of your top markets are going to be sort of your coastal markets, let's say like in New York or San Francisco, LA. Standard markets are going to be, I don't know, your smaller, let's say Houston or San Antonio. Small markets are going to be more like your secondary markets that are maybe an hour and a half outside of these big cities, and in very small markets are the smallest markets, 5, 10,000 in population. And so, as you can see, as you go to those smaller markets, they're going to want a higher debt service coverage ratio and then potentially lower LTV. So how do you calculate debt service coverage? Really, when we talk on this slide, we talked about NOI divided by your debt service. So the first component is NOI. And so NOI is calculated a lot of different ways by people, but the lenders, when they look at NOI, they're typically going to be the most conservative, right? So, starting with net rental, they're going to look at typically the T3. If your net rental is going up in an upward direction, they'll look at the T3. If it's going down, just maybe because of coronavirus or any of these other items that we're going through right now. If it's going down, they might look at a T6 or T12, and they're gonna add the other income, so that's your total income. On the expense side, they're gonna look at essentially pro forma a majority of the expenses as you, the buyer, coming in. If it's a refi, though, which a lot of people are doing right now, if it's a refi, they're essentially going to look at your T12 for a majority of these items. Let's say insurance, utilities, repairs and maintenance, payroll, and in taxes, they might gross up a little bit based on the purchase price or what the value is compared to what it's currently assessed for. And then your typical expenses on, let's say, a C property are going to be probably 55 to 65% of total revenue, whereas B deals maybe 50%, and then A deals you might be 40 to 45% on A deals. And so once you get to your NOI, that allows you to back into what the property can actually sustain, right? So let's take this one for example. The NOI was $2.1 million and a $30 million loan at 4% debt service. That essentially the P&I payment, principal and interest payment, was 1.7 million, and that got you a 125 debt service. But let's say this deal was in a smaller market, and the lender said, "Hey, I want a 135 debt service." Then your loan amount would go from 30 million to 27.8 million, right? And then, or even a larger one, 1.4, it might get cut by another $1 million down to 26.7. So it's very important to understand what the debt service requirements of the lender are and how they're going to underwrite that actual amount. So debt service coverage matters because it's all about the loan amount and the interest rate. And so here on the right-hand side, I pulled out a Fannie price quote from today. And essentially, these are the tiers that they have: tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And you can see that, let's say on a 10-year loan right now, if you hit that 125 debt service, your loan is 3.19% interest rate. But then if you get to 135 debt service and 65% loan to value, it's 3.04. And then if you drop even to 155 debt service coverage, 55% LTV, you get 2.84. So, I mean, it can increase as you increase your debt service coverage, you get a lower interest rate on your loan. And so just if a little bit about my background, I was born and raised in Houston, went to school at UT Austin. I've been doing loan underwriting from 2007 to 2015, and then as a loan originator, mortgage broker for the last 5 years, and also an investor, close to 6,000 units across DFW, Austin, and San Antonio. And so closed over $1.5 billion in commercial real estate transactions all across Texas and the United States. So if you like this video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you want to set up some time to discuss whether you're buying, selling, refinancing your next multifamily property, give me a call or shoot me an email. Thanks a lot.